Hello, bag chasers. We are back. It's your boy, recklessray Dinero, and I've got updates. But before we get to the updates, let's do some housekeeping. Obviously, down in the description, that's the same description every week. There is a link to the Patreon, and it is not, for reference, my Patreon. It is Anton Daniels of AntonDaniels.com's Patreon. Reason being, I am a part of that network. And without that network, I would not be here. So, in honoring them, my first 12 months of this specific offshoot of my channel for the crypto, that is the only way to really get access to me. And yeah, so that's going to be it on that. So also, it's a great network. There's a lot of cross-pollination going on in there. There's a lot of different topics aside from cryptocurrency. That's the only channel that I participate in. I'm a fly on the wall in some of the other ones. If I have something to add, I'm around in some of the other channels, but generally speaking, my nose is to the gridiron on the crypto stuff, so that is where you will find me. That said, let's jump into it. As you can see, this week we have started the 2023 portfolio. We are tearing everything down and rebuilding it again, and I am excited. With that said, last year's portfolio, I am starting to tear those liquidity positions down. Most everything that's coming from the yield farms will be converted over to ETH, and then will be staked on Alchemix, and then will be drawn upon in a loan in a stable to pull out to utilize in the market to start this year fresh with the stuff that I'm dollar cost averaging in. For those of you who are not following me on the live stream side of things, I am over on I Seen Your Little Podcast every Thursday. And this month specifically are probably things that everybody who is listening to me for the cryptocurrency stuff should probably tune into, because we are talking about the importance of planning and having a strategy. Some real high-level games getting shared over there. We're doing Q&A. It's a panel discussion. It's not me dictating. It is me having a conversation with you guys and, helping people, which is pretty cool. And those conversations, for the first hour and a half, we are dedicated to just talking bag talk, strategy, money. After that, it devolves into whatever it devolves into. We have fun over there, but we eat our vegetables first, and then we get to the dessert. Again, I will give a shout out to I Seen Your Little Podcast. He gave me an opportunity to do some stuff over there, and we're gonna do it the best we can and try to run those numbers up. Obviously, it's a very boring topic for most people, but the right people are starting to show up and filter in, and I'd like to extend that invite to everybody over here who's rocking out with me, because this is dedicated bag talk the whole time. So come over and hang out with us and show that we can have some fun too. Okay, let's jump into it. So what first thing we're going to notice is this portfolio is starting off super boring, because instead of doing what I do every other year, I'm trying something different this year that I feel is more focused. So that said, the first token that I have bought this year is Synthetics. And I bought a grip of it. I also rounded out the position that I was going to take as my gamble for Luna Classic, so that has got its little 2.6% share there. And you're only going to see two things. So these next couple of weeks might be a little bit boring, because I'm going to be actually focusing in on positions. We are rolling into another bull run, so I call it scramble season, in my opinion. So like this year, end of this year, rolling up through the end of this bear market, is positioning for the next bull run. And I'm not gonna not give you the logic behind this. So first of all, This is a staking position. The staking APR for this token, this is a token that I've been in previously. I did not delve into it last year because I had actually eaten off this pretty much most of the last bull run. This was one of my tokens that I'm pretty sure it was something, but it was probably about at least 20x, potentially more than that. Actually, probably more than that. I don't remember, but it was an over 20x jump for me from when I got in on it, and yeah, it put a lot of money into my portfolio that I then followed up after the bull run. Ended up, taking those hits this year, but this was why I was able to take the hits, and it's back within a buy range for me. So with that said, as I was looking through, I was like, I didn't want to. I'm not going as loose as I did the years prior going into this bull run. I'm trying to learn from this last bull run's mistakes, basically. So we're going in a little bit boring. Reason I like SNX Synthetics Network. I got a couple of bullet points that I wanted to draw out here that are for me what I find interesting about it and why I like using it. First of all, it's a synthetics network, which basically the gist of that is they take real world assets and they basically trade a derivative of it in the crypto space, which is cool because the goal of this project is to be a permissionless derivative protocol. And as for me, everybody knows this, I don't like middlemen. I don't like anybody standing between me and my money. So there was that. I was on board with that. They are a multi-purpose derivatives liquidity protocol that's already in use across many chains. They're on Arbitrum, they're on Optimism, a lot of the layer 2s, they're on Polygon. Also, they're the back end of many user-facing protocols that we all use, those of us who are in the DeFi space, such as Curve, which I heavily use right now. Like I'm a big user of Curve finance, and because most of my farms that I showed you guys from last year ended up being on convex finance because of the stability of it. SNX is the back end of that, and also one of the things that I like owning when I'm involved in stuff, and since I know moving forward that there's going to be some convex and some curve involvement, I like to own roads. So all of these things are built on Ethereum. That's the reason I like to own Ethereum, because there's a bunch of stuff on it. All of these front-facing protocols, Uniswap is also a front-facing protocol for them. I like owning the thing that everything is on. So when we're looking at a project like this checks all my boxes, from a value standpoint, how I navigate in the space. It's the back end of things that I'm currently using. Also, it has staking, so I'm not just sitting holding tokens on a centralized exchange, which I don't recommend anyone use at this point. You don't want to have more than what you can afford to lose in any centralized fashion whatsoever, because you could lose it. Unless you're getting something out of it. Like, there has to be a secondary value there aside from you're just too lazy to self-custody your stuff, because at this point you're just going to lose it. And we'll leave that at that. But this does have staking. It fell within my metric of the high end of boring. This year I'm not just going straight into yield farming positions. I will be doing some very boring plays and then filtering in a liquidity position as I see fit, instead of just going all in, balls to the wall, into the craziness. So with that said, SNX was the first one because it has the highest APR for my boring stuff, and so this is just protocol staking. It's pretty straightforward. There's a little bit of management with synthetics. It's straightforward, but it's complicated. We'll put it that way, because you have to manage your collateralization value, and that is a technical process where you're having to either burn dollars or pull dollars out. It's a little. there's a little bit more work to this than average, but also the return on that is better. So I started with that. The next position after this one is filled, because I will be doing these to fill this year. I'm going to force myself to finish a position before I start the next position, and then it'll be finishing that position until we start the next position. But the thing that I'm really excited about is this should be a nice little boost to the process. It should be a little bit different. Hopefully, we're not gonna. I've got this pretty isolated down to where I'm not doing anything that's too crazy, at least in my opinion. And we'll see how it plays out. So that was the first thing. I've got a couple of interesting pieces to talk about also. Oh, so the reason that this position is as large as it is was because instead of pulling a yield farm, my yield farms are going to be converted over to ETH. Well, I ended the year with a cash reserve that I didn't use. So I liquidated that the first week, which was this weekend, on my reallocation day. Liquidated that, and then I put that straight back into the market because that was the cash that was left over. So we went ahead and deployed that first. Next week, we'll be tearing down a farm and then shifting that over into the Ethereum and going into Alchemix, and we'll be pulling out our first Alchemix loan. So I'll get to go through that process and figure it out, and hopefully it goes well. Aside from that, this is what we're looking at here is this. So as far as the news this week, there were some really interesting things that happened this week that I do want to speak on as far as the markets are concerned. Because as I said, like the way that I'm looking at it right now, everything's a fire deal, and with that, we're getting ready for the next bull run, and I think some of these things that are falling in place are going to definitely boost that. So the first thing that I noticed that happened this week was Fidelity launching retail, which means poor people, which means like everyone watching this video. Like if you're not an accredited investor, you're retail, which basically is you're too poor to know what to do with your money. So there's a gatekeeper involved. And a lot of you like that. And I understand a lot of the TradFi guys that like to come in talking hard in the chat on my videos or even in the back channel. There's some older guys that have some like old ideologies, and they're just not necessarily built for the future. I'm like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I'm not going to acknowledge that things are changing, people, which is cool. Because like this is news for those guys. Share it with your folks and your grandparents. Fidelity has launched retail ETH and BTC trading services. That's huge. So that means that like all these people who keep bashing the market, oh, volatility, oh, it's not a real thing, oh, you're going to lose everything. Well, Fidelity, which is pretty popular, a lot of you have your investment, your 401ks that you're probably overfunding too early, your Roth 401ks, which you should be funding more early while you're tax and pay the low tax versus the high tax, but whatever, we'll leave that where it is. That's the same place. That's a player. That's a irrefutable nothing to talk about. Like there's no pushback for this. Like are you saying that your tightly held traditional finance establishment that your grandpappy used, are you saying that they're stupid too now? Are they dumb? Or are you dumb? I don't know. Let's talk about it. Really interesting news. Like it's great for all the people who are waiting for someone to allow them to invest. And, I'm going to thank you in advance for making me and everyone else who is here already rich. That's cool. And when they get around to getting the regulations that all of you are clamoring for, just understand, those of us already in the market, they can't do anything about that. They're just shutting the door on you. Those of us who have our funds out here already, those of us who are already in DeFi, like if they said that I couldn't put one more dime into the DeFi space, I'm gonna be good. So, and so will everybody else who's already there. Like, there's people who were there before me that are way further in it than I am. But, you know, it's things that are coming our way. Like, this is going to be the tidal wave. Bitcoin adoption is still, I mean, in all honesty, most likely under 10%. So it's still blisteringly early, which is why we don't have regulations. Granted, it's the US that doesn't have regulations. A lot of other places do have regulations already, and they have things clarified. But the other thing that I think is pretty interesting about this is Fidelity, which is the major player, right, is only approving Ethereum and Bitcoin trading services. They're not doing all the rest of them, which, you know, not gonna put it out there as in I told you so, but there's a reason that I say you build the foundation of your portfolio first before you start gambling. And, you know, it's just a pretty telling thing that these, when the institutions come in, they know where they're coming in at. And like I've been telling people forever, and they're wanting proof. They're wanting, oh, show me. Like they can't go Google it themselves. Like whatever. Like if you come at me hot, bro, like I'll let you languish because you get to stay poor. Like I don't care. I'm not here to save anybody. I'm here to help the people that want to be helped, that are moving in the same direction. And like those who don't, I'm like, you being upset about something that I said has zero effect on me because I get to continue living my life. Like I get to continue to own a business. I get to continue to have my money in crypto. I get to continue to make money. Like you're upset. Don't care. That said, next piece of news. Pretty interesting also. Brazil's moving to pass legislation in order to use Bitcoin as legal tender because their dollars are collapsing. It's another conversation that's been had because everybody likes to talk about actually, not even USDT specifically, all the stable coins. They like to, oh, well, how do we know what they're backed with? The dollars that you're backed with, you have less proof of funds backing those dollars than you do of USDT's dollars because they keep having to reprove themselves every year. And they keep doing it every year. But you're using dollars that are completely worthless. And acting like it's fine. And then like you have the nerve to ask about the backing of this of all these other stablecoins, and it's like your dollars are backed by literally nothing. The actual dollars that you physically use that aren't pretend. But the pretend dollars have more backing than the real dollars at this point. Like, that's crazy to me. But Brazil, like most countries, you're going to start seeing this. Like, it's starting to happen, and I've talked on it a bunch. Most of these countries that are being affected by what the United States monetary policy is doing as our currency is debasing. It is debasing. Your dollars are debasing. During that process, these countries, their currencies are being destroyed because of like what we're doing to salvage ourselves. Which is, I mean, you know, dog eat dog. That's just the way this works. But this is also the reason you're going to see them move to something else that's sound. It's interesting that these same currencies, these same countries are not moving to gold. They're not going back to a gold standard. They're not going back. They're going forward to a Bitcoin standard. It's a really good book. You should read it. Also, you'll notice that they're not saying that they're trying to build the internet on Bitcoin. They're using it as sound money. Its job. The only thing it needs to do. And we're gonna, like, that conversation's been had so many times that, you know, I'm not gonna have it again. I'm not gonna rant on it, but it is what it is. It's another country that's going, hey, we do not like what's going on. We're opting out. And frankly, I think everyone should opt out because unless you're too stupid to know what to do with your money or to know how to invest your money, then why do you need a gatekeeper standing in between you and your money? It's insane. Speaking of gatekeepers, so while I do not necessarily, especially this last spat of yeetum, while I can't co-sign any of those things in a public, and like anything that was said publicly on the InfoWars show, what I can tell you is when you're in a system where they cannot like your opinion, this isn't an action, this is your opinion, and they can make up tax bills that you owe from within the system, and then freeze your funds, and then not allow, and then shut down your bank account, shut down your means of being paid. And I mean, this hasn't just happened to Yi, it's happened to a bunch of people. And for me, when you have establishments and institutions that aren't even the government making up the rules based on how they feel, because fuck your feelings, that's not a system that you can say you have any kind of freedom in. Because if they can do it based on stuff you say, because it goes against the overarching narrative, it's not always the same people in power. And that's the thing that people need to understand. They're like, oh yeah, I'm with it up until when they're coming for you. And the issue is now these establishments and institutions are making these decisions. Another interesting thing, Apple threatening to remove Twitter. Like, these are companies making emotional decisions because it's stuff that they have a feeling about. This isn't business. No one who has an Apple phone, I have an Apple phone, probably going to be getting rid of it because I don't want Apple telling me what I can and can't have access to. I use Twitter. When it comes to the reason why those of us who have been in crypto for a long time are here, this shit is why. Literally. Because there's gatekeeping at every facet of this. And not only is there gatekeeping, there's people who go, I feel a certain way about what you said. This isn't business. I feel. And they're using their feelings and navigating their businesses based on those feelings. Because businesses do not have feelings. Businesses are about numbers. And this is why being sovereign is so important. And removing yourself from the system and understanding how these systems work and how to remove yourself from the matrix that they've built for us. Because like, people are co-signing this stuff as though it's a great thing. What happens if somebody who doesn't agree with your political stance takes over and owns these companies then? And they go the polar opposite, and they're like, you know what? We're going to remove these woke leftist apps, and we're going to silence these woke leftist people. What then? Now you can't talk. Is it? Are you gonna have that same energy then? Like, oh, you're gonna ride off into the sunset, or are you guys gonna group up and start trying to set stuff on fire? Like, what's the proper way that we're gonna navigate with this? And so for me, like, that's the reason I'm heavily into crypto. Why I believe in Bitcoin, because I'm a huge advocate of speaking with your dollars. I'm a huge advocate of owning as many of the means of your financial stability as possible so that they can't remove them or have them be taken from you. Like, I'm a big crypto and real estate person, but like, at this point, like, I'm second guessing real estate, because like, how long until these people start coming to take the real estate back? Like, at what point are they going to start doing that? Because I mean, we're letting these companies navigate as though they are the government when it comes to silencing people and what they can do with your bank account, and like, making up taxes. Like, I could have sworn that was the government's job. Like, how do you make up a tax bill of $50 million? How do you make up $50 million? And like, nobody knows until you're in trouble. That's insane. And that's the reason I do not want these people holding my money. I will never have them hold the book on my money. Not ever. Like, Like I'm 200% jaded and not believing in this system, and like do not want to participate beyond what I have to at this point. And that's the reason those of us who have been in the market, like we've been here a while. Like we're not in and out like the people who just started this year that think they know what's going on. Like you don't even know why you're here. You're here to get a quick hit of money that you're going to do what with? What are you going to build out of it? Like let's talk assets. I'd be more than happy to have those conversations with people on Thursdays. Like let's do it. And I mean, starting after the first of the year, we can have those conversations on my channel because like that's coming as well. But that's the reason that I'm an advocate and I'm big on being in Bitcoin. That's the reason that I'm in crypto to begin with. It's also the reason that I dual upload. Like if somebody comes for this channel, that's cool. Like all my stuff is backed up. I upload twice. Fresh upload. Like you can't even pull the content that's over here from over on Rumble because it's uploaded twice. So that way I still have it. So if I need to get to it, like I can get to it. But they're just there has to be some form of balance, and like it seems as though, and like I'm all for like it's private, these are privately held companies, some of them not so privately held companies, because like JP Morgan's they're a public company, Nike's a public company, Adidas is a public company, and they're doing shady stuff, and people are like, oh well, because he's bad this is okay. And like you can think that, but like that's not grounds to steal somebody's work. That's not grounds to just make up policies as you see fit. But that's the world that we live in, and it's like cool. They can own those things. But at the end of the day, you should never have enough of your money to be impeded on how you can navigate held by an institution or any entity that can legitimately impede it. Like I'd rather risk all of it being in Bitcoin. I'd rather risk that. Like you're gonna turn the money off for the world. Like there's countries involved in that now. You're gonna turn their money off too. Like cool, turn it all off. Let's burn it all together. I'm fine with that. But I'm not gonna have you sit there and go, well, we turn your bank account off specifically because we feel a certain type of way about something that you said, or we don't like the opinions that you hold. That's not what this was set up as. It's using finance as a control mechanism and a fear mechanism, honestly. Like they're using it as a weapon. It's weaponized against the citizens. And if you're in a truly decentralized self-custodying fashion in the crypto space, it cannot be weaponized against you. With that, we are going to that's all I got for you guys today. I hope everybody had a great week. Hope you guys had a good weekend and didn't fumble the bag. And I hope this week you guys are preparing. It is Sunday. And I'm hoping that you're preparing to round this month out strong, this year out strong, and that you are putting the systems and strategies in place to make 2023 the best year of your life. It's been good rocking with you guys. Till next week.